Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the show. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. All right, guys, I am stoked to give you all this list today. I've got a list of players that are skyrocketing up my rankings. Now, a lot of these players are significantly undervalued right now, but I have very good reason to believe that they're going to be awesome this year. And as we get closer and closer to the season, I'm just starting to fall in love with these players. So I want to start right here, the first player on my list, and that is Quentin Johnston. Now, this is a guy, 6'3", 4.5 40 time, very similar athletic profile to Mike Williams. It's amazing. The athletic intangibles, when you look at these two players, are so very similar. And, we're looking at a wide receiver who, he has tremendous explosiveness and athleticism. He relied a lot on his athleticism in college to be a dominant wide receiver, and it worked out well because he was just a man among boys in college. And that was why he was one of the number one receivers drafted in this year's draft. Now, there's a lot of people that think that he has so much raw, untapped potential that it's going to take him some time to adjust into the NFL. But, guys, athleticism translates very well to the NFL. The minute he comes into the NFL and he has NFL coaches teaching him how to play the wide receiver position, and he has veteran guys to learn from like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, he's going to become a better wide receiver as far as, the skill set of playing the position very fast. And with that, and combined with his athleticism, this is going to be a deadly cocktail of just awesomeness for Quentin Johnston. I think he's going to be a breakout in his rookie season. And on top of this, here's what we have to look at. Even though I think he could be successful with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams in the lineup alongside them, imagine if one of these guys, just one of these guys gets hurt. If Keenan Allen gets hurt, tons of targets open up. If Mike Williams gets hurt, Quentin Johnston is the lone alpha X wide receiver in the offense. So just one of these guys getting injured, and we know that these things happen often. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams literally get injured all the time. Then Quentin Johnston's absolutely going to explode. And what if they both get hurt? Then, the sky's the limit, right? This guy could be a top 10 wide receiver in fantasy if both those guys get hurt. So considering the fact that he's got two injury-prone wide receivers playing alongside him, considering the unbelievable skill set and the fact that he's going to have veteran wide receivers to learn from, I love Quentin Johnston to break out in his rookie season, even if Keenan Allen and Mike Williams don't get hurt. But if they do get hurt, watch out. His upside is absolutely insane if that happens. Either way, tremendous draft value late in the draft. This is a guy who could absolutely explode in his rookie season. He's skyrocketing up my rankings, but I don't think his ADP is going to be that high by the time the season starts. You could get an awesome draft value for Quentin Johnston. So go ahead and scoop this guy up. Next player on my list is going to be Chris Olave. Now, this is a guy who a 40% air yard share in his offense last season. This is unheard of. This dude had a 40% air yard share in his offense as a rookie, a 26.7% team target share. He had 2.57 yards per route run, which is top 10 in the NFL. All signs point towards Chris Olave having a massive sophomore season. Okay, we know that when a receiver posts good yards per route run efficiency, they always see a significant bump in target share the following season. We saw it with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Both of their rookie years, they had tremendous yards per route run efficiency, and then they saw monster target share increase in the following year. This is exactly what's about to happen for Chris Olave, and he is the only wide receiver in his offense. There's no other wide receivers in this offense. Michael Thomas is old and injury-prone. Chris Olave is going to line up in the slot. He's going to line up outside. He's going to do everything for this offense. The target share is going to be above 30%. The air yard share could be upwards of 42% in this offense. He's got a quarterback upgrade in Derek Carr. I love Chris Olave this season. Don't get it twisted. This guy has the outside shot to be the wide receiver one, and you're getting him at a pretty awesome value because you could get him in rounds 3, 4 of the draft. So Chris Olave, awesome value. He's skyrocketing in my rankings. Next player on my list is going to be Dalton Kincaid. Now, nobody's talking about this guy, and I don't get it. We've got a 6'4", 250-pound monster. He saw 21.7% team target share in his final year in college. 70 receptions, 890 yards. Now, obviously, these are college stats that don't translate directly into the NFL, but he's the more talented tight end in his offense as far as just raw ability. Dawson Knox and him are going to start the year kind of probably seeing a pretty similar target share, but I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if Dalton Kincaid significantly started to just get targeted more in this offense as the season goes along. I mean, obviously, they need a legit number 2 target after Stephon Diggs. The offense runs through Stephon Diggs. He's pretty much the entire offense as far as the pass catchers are concerned. And we have Gabe Davis as a deep target. But Dalton Kincaid is a guy who can catch passes at all levels of the field. He could run short slants. He could run deep balls, deep plays, deep routes, and be very successful in catching passes downfield as well. He has the size and contested catch ability to really be an awesome red zone target hog. We know that this guy is great at high pointing the football, and he is a contested catch monster. This dude can be dominant in the red zone in a very high scoring Buffalo Bills offense. I love Dalton Kincaid this coming season. And when everybody else is drafting defenses and kickers, a lot of times Dalton Kincaid still has not been drafted at this point in the draft. So when everybody else is drafting defenses and kickers in rounds 14, 15, 16, you can get a big-time, game-breaking, difference-making tight end in Dalton Kincaid. Next player on my list is going to be Christian Watson. Now, this is a guy, 6'5", runs a 4.3. Obviously, the athletic intangibles with Christian Watson are second to none. This guy is one of the most freak athletes in the league with his size and speed profile. He has very similar size and speed to Calvin Johnson, outside of the fact of not being as muscular or built as Calvin Johnson, but, same height, same speed. He's basically a faster Mike Evans. This guy last year, 2.4 yards per route run. This is top 12 in the NFL. Led the league in fantasy points per target, 2.52 fantasy points per target for Christian Watson this past season. This is a very good sign. Now, obviously, we've got a quarterback downgrade going from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. But in the small sample we saw Christian Watson play with Jordan Love last season, he produced numbers even when Jordan Love was the quarterback. So I don't think there's any reason that we should think that Christian Watson's just not going to be good at all because Jordan Love is his quarterback. In fact, I still think he has easily the top 10 overall wide receiver upside. The upside is certainly there. He's going to be the clear target hog in his offense, and the target share is going to be ridiculous. And this team needs playmakers, right? They're not necessarily a loaded offense by any means. Their best weapons are essentially in their backfield in Aaron Jones and a little bit of A.J. Dillon. But Christian Watson, he's going to run the ball a little bit. This guy's going to be used on jet sweeps. He's going to be used in a kind of Deebo Samuel role where he can kind of catch passes at all levels of the field and even participate in the running game. So I love Christian Watson this coming season. And, man, the athletic intangibles along with the opportunity share in his offense provides huge upside for Christian Watson. I was not big on him when I figured out that Aaron Rodgers was being traded, but the more and more I look at the situation, I'm not really worried about it. Even with Jordan Love, this guy's going to absolutely dominate. So he is skyrocketing way up my rankings. Next player on my list is going to be Lamar Jackson. Now, obviously, this offense has gone through tremendous changes this offseason. Lamar Jackson gets the big contract. They draft Zay Flowers. They acquire Odell Beckham Jr. This offense is now absolutely loaded with weapons. My biggest quarrel with Lamar Jackson in his career and why I thought he was overvalued going into every season in fantasy is because he's never had enough passing weapons. A quarterback has to have some passing weapons to draw defensive attention off of him when he decides to run the ball. And he has been successful at running the ball, even with these offenses that just have that are very slim at pass catcher. I mean, last year he really only had Mark Andrews and then Rashad Bateman was his wide receiver one, and he was still running the ball a lot and running the ball successfully until he got hurt. So, this is a guy that we know that he's one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the league right up there with Jalen Hurts. He now has better passing weapons than he's ever had in his entire career by a long shot. Okay, so considering the fact that this dude's been a very good fantasy quarterback throughout his entire career and now has by far and away the best passing weapons he's ever had, I love his upside. There's also reports saying that the Ravens are planning on running the ball less and being a passing offense. I love this for Lamar Jackson. I don't want anyone to think this is bad. This is a good thing for Lamar Jackson because Lamar Jackson now can actually stay healthy. You cannot run the ball 10 times per game at the quarterback position and have every play that you run on your team being a designed run and not expect to get hurt. Of course, Lamar Jackson is going to get hurt if he's running the ball that often. Now he can run the ball closer to 7 times per game and have a lot less likelihood for injury. On top of that, he could easily eclipse his record for passing touchdowns in a season this year with all the passing weapons he has. He could easily be tops in the league in passing yards because Lamar Jackson can be a very good passing quarterback when he actually has the weapons to throw the ball to. And let's not forget that even though they won't call as many designed runs for Lamar Jackson, there's still going to be times where the pocket collapses and the play breaks down and he has to run the ball. So just because they're planning on having less design runs for Lamar Jackson doesn't mean that he's just not going to be running the ball at all. He's still going to be running the ball a lot because not every play goes the way you expect it to. And when the pocket collapses and the only thing there is to do is run, he's going to run. And you got to think about it. There's going to be bigger running lanes for him to run through because there's so many passing weapons that the defense is having to account for. So even though he's running the ball less, he has less likelihood for injury and potentially could be more efficient as far as his yards per carry efficiency this season when he does run the ball because there's so many more passing weapons that the defense has to account for and, defend. So I love Lamar Jackson this coming season. All signs are pointing to, him having the upside to be the quarterback one. So he's skyrocketing up my rankings. Next player on my list is going to be Darren Waller. Now, this is a guy, 6'6", 260-pound monster. Led the league in deep targets last year at the tight end position despite missing a ton of time and being injured for like half the season. The Giants, they need pass catchers, right? their number one pass catcher is Darius Slayton, right? So, or their number one wide receiver is Darius Slayton. So this team acquired Darren Waller for a reason, and it's not to block. They acquired Darren Waller to feature him as a target hog. We know that this guy posted two dominant fantasy tight end seasons where he was, comparable to Travis Kelce in fantasy statistics. It's just that the last 2 years, he's missed a ton of time due to injury. But let's not forget how incredibly good this guy is. He's one of the most talented tight ends in the game. And the Giants are going to be featuring him as the number one target hog in this offense. So the talent plus the opportunity share. I love Darren Waller this season, and he's skyrocketing out my rankings. Next and final player on my list is Brandon Cooks. Now, this is a guy that I feel like I've overlooked a little bit. And so I thought it was very important for me to include him on this list today, because I really haven't talked about him at all this offseason. And this is a dynamic wide receiver, guys, a 4.3 40. We know that he has the ability to get open downfield. If you look at 4 out of his past 5 seasons in the NFL, he has had a 30+% air yard share on his team in 4 out of his past 5 NFL seasons. So this guy dominates air yards for his offense. And when you have a 30% air yard share in the Cowboys offense, you have tremendously high upside. And he certainly has a possibility of having that 30+% team air yard share in the Cowboys offense. And this guy's still, he's 29 years old. He's still young enough to dominate. And this is going to be an offense that's built more and more around the pass. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott is not going to be in the backfield for the Cowboys this year. Tony Pollard is a pass-catching back. Look, this team is going to be passing the ball a lot, meaning that the opportunity share for Brandon Cooks is going to be there. This is a team that is tops in the league every year in pace of play. They're tops in the league every year as far as overall points scored. This is going to be a dynamic offense, talent, opportunity share, great offense. Everything is going for Brandon Cooks. And he will have weeks where he outperforms CeeDee Lamb. Now, obviously, CeeDee Lamb, 99% chance that he finishes with better fantasy numbers at the end of the season. But on a weekly basis, Brandon Cooks will have a handful of games this year where he outperforms CeeDee Lamb. And you're going to want that upside, especially considering the fact that you can get him like super late in the draft. So, all right, guys, these are my players that I have skyrocketing on my rankings. Hope this video helped. I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you later.